Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and today I wanted to go over one of my new favorite Warlock builds in Destiny 2 Season of the Witch that I haven't seen a lot of other people using. It is a ton of fun, it also generates super insanely fast, and I just very much enjoy using this in a bunch of different activities, so let's jump into it. It all starts with the Geomag Stabilizers, which has the armor perk, close enough. Damaging targets with Chaos Reach extends its duration. Collecting Ionic Traces grants you energy for Chaos Reach. That last part was just added this season, and I think it makes a massive difference with this build because you're able to generate Ionic Traces pretty consistently in a lot of different ways, and I'm going to show you one in the video, but overall it allows you to have your super very, very consistently, and not only are you having your super, but you're also generating other ability energy, so it's just a nice cycle there where you can constantly use your Rift, your grenade, your melee, and all that kind of good stuff. It combines perfectly well with the old seasonal exotic weapon Delicate Tomb. This has the perk Trader's Vessel, fires a wide horizontal spread when shot from the hip. Final blows with this weapon have a chance to generate Ionic Traces. Powerful foes and opposing guardians always generate Ionic Traces. That's really the difference between the fragment that you can throw on to generate Ionic Traces with the arc weapons, but you could use something like a Cold Heart as well with this. There's a lot of different options. I just like to use weapons that I don't see out and about that often, and I feel like this one is better than I think a lot of people remember. It also has a Tempest Cascade. Collecting an Ionic Trace overcharges his weapons next shot, jolting targets. So you can jolt pretty consistently. I don't even have the Catalyst done either, so that'll be even better once that I do have that done because I won't have to reload. I can just use this constantly. I'm also rocking the crate. You can run whatever you want here. I just toss this on, and then in this slot I'm running my Adept Hothead as I just wanted to do as much boss damage as possible. Between this and the Chaos Reach, you're going to be just fine. You can always swap this out for something like a grenade like, a machine gun like the Swarm, or even something new like the Eliatic Principle. Once I have this crafted, that's probably what I'll throw on and use fairly consistently. I just don't like swapping off of Delicate Tomb. That's why I like one-shot type weapons here, like rockets or grenades. So let's jump into the rest of the build. Obviously, we're using Chaos Reach. I'm using Healing Rift. You don't really have a lot of healing with this build overall, so that's why Healing Rift is important. Chain Lightning, though you can use whichever one you want. Same thing for this. Pulse Grenade, you can use whichever one you want. Either one is going to be fine. Just whatever grenade you're most comfortable with. Then we've got the Electrostatic Mine. This is nice because, again, generating more Ionic Traces, especially because you're jolting targets pretty consistently, and then you'll be amplified pretty much all the time. Then we've got the Arc Soul. This is just nice because you're going to have an Arc Buddy all the time. Clearing adds. This also counts for your Arc ability kills when you get kills with your Arc Soul, so that's very nice. And you're going to be amplified a lot, so your Arc Souls are going to be supercharged pretty often, which is cool. And then we've got the Fragments, Spark of Shock. Again, Arc Grenades jolt targets. You're going to be jolting or generating Ionic Traces pretty much all the time. Defeating a jolted target creates an Ionic Trace. You see where I'm going with this? It all kind of lines up there. Rapidly defeating targets while you are amplified creates an Orb of Power. Obviously, you're going to be amplified pretty much all the time. And then Spark of Beacons, while you're amplified, your Arc Special Weapons, Final Blows create a Blinding Explosion. Again, this is very nice. You can use this, again, against unstoppable champions. You can use this just to blind enemies in general. So, because you're amplified pretty much all the time, that's going to work really, really well with Delicate Tomb. So, all of that kind of combines for a really fun combination of gameplay, in my personal opinion. As far as mods, I'm running Ashes the Assets, Arc Siphon, Radiant Light. Then we've got Arc Loader, Firepower, Fastball. We've got Arc Reserves, Concussive Dampener, Arc Weapon Surge, Arc Scavenger, and Arc Holster, and then Distribution and Time Dilation. Those you can kind of mess around with as you'd like. You can change them to whatever suits your playstyle, but for me personally, I like running them because I feel very versatile. I can run different things like the Altars of Summoning with randoms and really succeed at everything. I can do ad clear, I can get boss damage in, I can do everything that I need to in the activity without having to rely on anybody else necessarily, and that's one of the things I'm looking for in a lot of my builds. I don't want to really hyper focus on just boss damage, like if it's a raid boss fight or something like that, because most of the activities that I'm doing are going to be solo with randoms taking on activities like Altars of Summon, and sometimes even doing tier 3s of those. So if that's the case, I need a build that's going to be able to survive, that's going to be able to do high damage to not only bosses, but also the Lucent Hive and all that kind of good stuff, as well as clearing the overwhelming amount of ads sometimes. Overwhelming is hyperbole, but anyway, overall, I find this build to be very much fun. I would highly recommend checking it out if you have not tried Geomag at all. I would think it's one of the better exotics right now that people are sleeping on, and I'm really surprised by that. I think a lot of the new stuff has kind of overshadowed the reworks that we got, but there's so many of the exotics that got reworked that I think are very, very good and could be viable across many different options if you just test them out. I'm going to be doing so with every single one that got revamped, making a build for it and seeing if I cannot put together the perfect kind of way to make it play into its strengths, and that's what I'm going to do over the next few weeks, because I feel like all of them should be able to shine in their own way, and I'm really looking forward to that, because I personally am the type of player who wants to play in a variety of ways. I don't want to use the same build every single week. I don't want to use the same weapons and loadouts and everything like that every single week. I want to really kind of modify my playstyle depending on how I'm feeling and trying something new. And that's really what I encourage everybody to do in this game, because it feels like oftentimes you'll see a build one time for one content creator, or you'll see it from somebody posted online, and then that's all anybody wants to run. And I think that's a rather boring way to play the game. There's a lot of really good options. Not all of them are going to be hyper meta options. Not all of them are going to be perfectly min-maxed, but some of them are going to be extremely fun and capable of taking on any content in the game, and that's really all you need. You don't need a perfect build, a perfect role, a perfect anything in this game really to get it done, unless you're doing day one contest mode. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, helps me out tremendously, shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content from me going forward. I've been having a lot of fun with the builds lately because there's so much to test out and try and see what works and what doesn't, and see if any of these are underrated, overrated, and all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, I think next up I'll have one for Hollowfire Heart for the Titan, as well as the Astrocyte Verse for the Warlock in Iron Banner. I'm going to try that out, and hopefully it works well, because I think it could be a lot of fun. Anyway, my name is JoPa. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.